Success. We all want it. We all chase it. But what is it really? Welcome back to Brilliant Fools. This is the podcast brought to you by Greenhouse Services. My name is Adam Green, Greene, by the way. So if you look at greenhouseghs.com, green with an E on the end. Yeah, spelled weird. But you can get in touch with me directly and we can have a conversation. I love talking about this stuff and would love to have a phone call with you. You can also go to brilliantfools.com for some resources there as well. But let's talk about success and let's look at it. And let's look at it in light of the businesses that we own and what we do with them. The definition of success by the Cambridge Dictionary is the achieving of the results wanted or hoped for. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you have a goal, you're pursuing it, you achieve something, that's success. Okay. There's another way we could define it. We could break it down into its parts. So we have the prefix suck, S-U-C, and then cess, the end of it. So S-U-C is a prefix. It means before or under, kind of like it's a variant of sub, being under, right? Like the subway, that sort of thing. But it's also an abbreviation of suction. So to draw up like through a straw. There is cess, which is, it can be kind of a tax, like think of it like an assessment, right? So assess, short term for tax. It's a slang in some dialects for bad luck. You know, you have bad cess, right? Or it's wastewater, like in a cesspit or a cesspool, right? So is this why success so often comes right before failure? Like it's before you have that bad luck, right? Something happens to you and okay, so it's right before bad luck. Interesting. Is this why success can feel so draining? Like you're being taxed. You're under this tax in order to get the success, right? Or is this why success so often sucks cess? I don't think I need to explain that one too much, but no, I don't actually believe that that's where success is coming from as far as the breakdown of the word is concerned. But I do think Solomon brought some light to that in Ecclesiastes and kind of brought up these questions when he said, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Well, what does it even mean? What is it good for? What are we doing here? What's going on? What even matters? You can work hard and you have nothing. When you leave this life, you can have nothing. You could work hard all your days and lose it all. Be good, be bad, you still die. The good and the bad still die. People rarely remember what you've done, especially for a while after you've left this life. The whole legacy thing, it's kind of a fallacy to actually leave a legacy. You know how many people in the world have actually left a legacy with how many billions, tens of billions of people there have been on the earth all time? It rarely ever happens. And you're not going to care about it after you're gone. I don't care if someone remembers me when I've died. Especially if I'm with the Lord. I mean, that's the thing that's going to matter, right? So everything kind of goes back to what was. There's nothing new under the sun. What's the point? Why are we even chasing success? Why is this so important to us? In verse 2 of Ecclesiastes, it uses the Hebrew term hebel, and that's translated as vanity or vain. It refers to a mist or a vapor. You know, I tried to catch fog, but missed. I'm sorry, I'll see myself out later. But it's a mere breath, right? It's metaphorically, it's something that's fleeting. It's something that is elusive. Different nuances depending on the context, but it's something that just doesn't stick around, right? And it appears 5 times in this verse. 5 times in this verse and 29 times in or in 29 other verses throughout Ecclesiastes. So this is clearly something that Solomon is one of the most successful people that you could think of. And he keeps coming back to this main point. What is this? What's going on here? Why am I even successful? What's going on with it? What's going to happen? I'm going to leave it to somebody and they're going to squander it at some point down the line. And what good is this all doing? I mean, he's one of those people we probably would kind of try to be like him. Super wise, and wisdom, especially in the context of not just having knowledge, but using that knowledge skillfully, and super successful in the things that he did. Well, over and over again, throughout Ecclesiastes, Solomon comes back to this main point. Enjoy your work and what God gives you as a result of it. That's a huge part of life. It's just enjoy the work that you do and what God gives you as a result of it. And that's, I think that's important to remember, that God is blessing us, and he's blessing the work that we're doing. And that's great to say, but what if your work sucks? What if it's terrible? Not for everyone, but, just for you. And, in fact, some might love doing it, but this just wasn't what you were made for. No matter how much you try, no matter how good you get at it, no matter how you try to look at it and shape it and frame it, it's just a way to make money, support a family, and it's soul sucking, right, draining kind of thing. Is there a way for me to do that, make money, support a family, and serve God in what I'm doing and actually enjoy it? Like, actually enjoy it. Do what he made me to do, not force myself into something else. I've been there. I've been there often. And as much as I enjoy what I'm doing here and now and recording the videos and making different content and resources, and hope to be successful in consulting and working with businesses to help your business grow and be more than what it is right now, and be more for the kingdom, more impactful. I also have to use the skills that I have developed and honed over time, until that this business is successful. Like, I'm going to have to do things that suck. I did it earlier today. I was working on something that I'm good at. Yeah, but it's just not in my wheelhouse necessarily. It's not natural for me. It takes a lot of work and a lot of stress for me to do it, but it's part of what's actually bringing in income. So how does that work though? Because I've chased that before, where I did things and I did the work that I knew how to do and just did it for the money. But that accomplishment, the money aspect, or even supporting the family aspect, it's going to leave me empty if that's the main thing that I'm chasing, right? Nick Saban, use him as an example, extremely successful college football coach, won all kinds of national championships. And after a national championship win, which you would think this is the accomplishment, this is the success. If there's anything that's like the pinnacle, that's the ultimate, and celebrate it, enjoy it, rest in it. Well, he would give himself and his players 24 hours maximum to celebrate the win. Based on what he said, he said in 24 hours, you probably need to move on. That's enough time to celebrate, right? And I understand where he's coming from, for sure. Peyton Manning, when he knew it was time to retire, when he stopped enjoying practice. He was a football player as well, right? Quarterback. And he just didn't really enjoy practice anymore, because he understood, as much as you try to be successful and be the best you can be at something, not enjoying it can be very difficult. And it's very difficult to move on with that. But it can also be very necessary in the meantime. So I think a lot of that is, how do I marry both of those things? Do what will bring in the income that's needed, but also can I bring in parts of what I enjoy into that aspect? Something so that it will be more sustainable, so that it will be something that can last longer, that I can do well at over time. Um, but let's say I do that. Let's say I am successful in finding that thing that marries both what I enjoy doing and what I'm good at, what I'm skilled at, and what will bring in the money. Okay, so I've accomplished that. Why am I still empty? Why do I still feel like I've come up short? Because I've been in those situations before too. There's still something that's missing. Well, let's ask ourselves this question. What if everything has already been accomplished? What if all the work that needs to be done has already been done, and it's been accomplished, and it's been successful, and the win has been achieved? Because it has. In Christ, it has. When he was on that cross, he said, "It is finished." Tetelestai, teleo. It is done. It is completed. Yes, the account has been forgiven. The sacrificial lamb has been found, but he said, "It is finished." And the extent of that is everywhere. As Paul told the Galatians, he said, "Oh, foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? Having begun in the faith, you're now going to live by works? Are you now going to work and try to do your accomplishments yourself, even though you began in the faith in Christ and his accomplished work?" No, this is the way that we live, and this is the way that we continue. And this applies to the businesses that we have as well. Does this mean there's nothing left to work toward? I don't think so. I think we still set up our goals. We work toward them. We achieve them. But if they are the main thing, they're going to leave me empty. I'm going to be just as empty. So if my main thing even is supporting my family, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a very good thing. And it should be done, yes. But if that's the main thing or the only thing I'm looking to, then even that leaves me empty. Now, my priority needs to be Christ and my fellowship with him, my relationship with him. That's what brings that fullness of joy that John talks about in 1 John, right? He says, "This is the reason I write these things to you, that your joy may be full," right? And that won't fade away. That high that I get won't fade over time, as long as I keep going in and keep getting deeper with him and keep getting into that fellowship with Christ. I mean, do I truly believe that that power that can save me from hell, that can affect my eternal destiny, that why would it not be good enough, more than enough for everything else in this life? If it has saved me, if it's done the ultimate work, then it does. It works in everything. It's still up to me, though, to use it and make use of that power. Sitting in a building, and if it's dark everywhere, what's the first thing you're going to try to do? You're going to find the light switch and try to turn it on, right? And if the power is coming into that building, then all that's needed is that light switch to be turned on. That's how you access the power. But if you never turn the light switch on, then it's never going to be any brighter. So I have no place to complain because the power is already there. And that's the thing. Like, it's already been accomplished in Christ. His Spirit is in us, working through us. It's no longer I who live, but Christ in me. And his power is that source. It's the tool, right? Or the source that brings the power to the tool. I am more like the tool that's being used. But my action, me taking action, is that light switch that accesses the power. Me moving to flip on the switch, me moving to hit the button on the saw to actually get it rotating so it will cut the thing instead of just slamming it into the board hoping that something's going to happen. He will do the work if I let him. But if I don't do any action, then I'm not letting him do any work, right? Now, there's a quote that says, all you can do is the action. You cannot achieve any result. And I forget who that quote is from, but I remember I heard it and I wrote it down, and it sounded good with exception, right? It sounded good with its exception. I was like, it seems like there's a principle that's based on, but I'm not sure exactly if that's entirely biblical, or if there's every situation that it could work at. Maybe like when you solve a puzzle, it seems like you achieve the result there, right? The argument might be that the puzzle was made by someone else, so you didn't actually control that. You didn't achieve that result. Someone else did. I don't know. But here's the principle, I think, from a biblical standpoint. I planted, Apollos watered, God provides the growth. Right? So neither am I anything or Apollos anything, but God who gives the growth. And that's Paul writing to the Corinthians. So it's God who provides the growth. My responsibility is, one, to have good soil that receives his word as I read it, as I spend time with him in his word and in prayer. I have good soil that's receptive to him. I can put work into that soil, tilling it, meditating on his word, bringing it back up, planting, and watering. But only God is going to give the growth. When it comes to business, I can go out and I can prospect, and we'll do that. Am doing that even through this podcast here. I mean, this is letting people know what's out there. Planting the seed, watering, say, hey, come talk with me. And as I talk with you, we're gonna figure out what is needed and what's the best plan forward and how we can partner to get you on the way to where you're looking to go. But I can't make you buy anything. That's under your control. All I can do is present to you what is there. All I can do as a true and good salesperson is seek to help you with whatever it is that I can help you with, and in the ways that God has gifted me and what he's shown me and what he's given me. And honestly, when I live in this, not trying to achieve the results, even if I'm trying to apply for a job and get a job, because there's been times where jobs just were not easy to come by. No matter how hard I tried, it's like you just couldn't get work. It was very difficult to get work. And even trying that, I can't force someone to give me a job, but I can put tons of resumes out there. I can put tons of applications out there. I can try to tailor them to each one. I can do things that will work, and then just trust God to provide the growth in his time as it's necessary. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Come to me, Jesus said, come to me, all you who are weary, heavy laden. You have this huge burden that you're carrying. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. And that easy and light aspect is, my experience has been, it comes from spending time with him, being rooted and grounded in the word, understanding what it is that he says there, and then spending time with him and enjoying his presence. And things start to become less stressful, and I start to live for him, not for other people, not for what other people think this is the way you should do it, and this is the right way to live, and this is the right way to work. This is what you need to be doing for work. An example of that is, and this is an interesting thing that I had to find out, the farther I am from success, the more stressful or issues with whatever it could be. I'm not making the sales that I want to make. The bank account is going down, things like that. I'm further away from success, right? I tend to fall into my natural working tendencies. But my natural working tendencies are more along the lines of if you go to Patrick Lencioni's working genius model, then it would be the W and the I, like the wonder, I wonder if there's a way to do this better, right? So you're asking that. And then the inventiveness that's trying to answer those questions and coming up with creative ways to answer those questions. That's an easy way for me to get into my working habits. But I don't notice that those are working habits. I don't notice that that's me trying to take it on myself until I'm overly stressed, and then I start to realize. But a large part of that is because the way I was raised and what I had learned as far as what work looks like, work is supposed to be hard and boring and tedious and difficult. And but I'll be honest with you, I've felt much better after a day of going out and trying to dig up the hard packed, summer sun baked Georgia red clay, trying to dig it up to relay some pipe. I felt much better after a day of doing that than spending a day where my mind's just going all over the place, falling into wonder and invention. And then again, I've also felt horrible after days of trying to go through and grind out tax return after tax return. And okay, it does get tedious and it does get difficult. I understand that. But that's what I've seen and what I've thought, okay, that's work right there, right? Not this wonder and invention. That's not work. That's easy. But it is work. And it's work that God has already accomplished. So if I'm falling into that and relying on that as though it's going to help me get out of a situation, or it's going to provide the growth. No, only God's going to provide the growth. And just so you know, the work that's done, that's tedious, that's like the tax returns, the accounting side of things, the admin type stuff, the digging the holes, all that kind of stuff. That tedious work only exists because there are others and businesses that have done the work of wondering if there's a better way to do something, inventing those ways of doing something, be it plumbing or better ways to get admin and tax stuff done, or just wondering and creating businesses, and then that other stuff is needed. So there are people on that side as well who are doing that work. I feel like I'm getting a little off topic here, but that does happen as well. The whole point is this: work is great in the right context. So whatever that work looks like is excellent in the right context. But the context is not being in pursuit of success and accomplishment. The context is being in fellowship with Christ. And I've been able to do all different kinds of work, even those things that frustrate me horribly. When I'm in fellowship with Christ, then that work, even with the thorns and the thistles that I have to work through, right? That work can even be enjoyable. And I can bring that with me. So how do I make that work enjoyable no matter what it is that I'm doing? I stay in fellowship with Christ. And as I stay in fellowship with him, he will provide the growth in his time in the way that's going to bring true success for me, for my family that I'm trying to support. And it's going to look right. And it may look different than I think it should look, and often has looked different than I think it should look. It may look different than the world thinks it should look. But it'll look the way that he has said he wants it to look. And I truly believe that he wants us to have success. And I think he wants us to have success in the work that we do. I think he wants us to enjoy it. And I think that God wants us to have financial success in that as well. And he wants us to be the head and not the tail, as he told Israel. And he wants us to go out and do and take action. And honestly, I think that what Paul said as well, if you are If you're a slave and you're able to be free, then do it. But if not, then be content in the state that you're in. And I would apply that to being an employee or being a business owner at this point. If we can have successful and good businesses, let's do that 100%. If we can employ other people, let's do that. But if I have to be employed for whatever reason, then that's fine. Be content in that situation. And as much as I'm saying these things, I'm telling myself all of this, probably more than I'm telling anyone else. Again, I appreciate you, and I truly do hope that this has been helpful and brought some value to you. And I hope that Greenhouse Services will be of service. I hope that Brilliant Fools is something that does grow and becomes a part of what God's doing in the kingdom. That's exciting to me, and that's more enjoyable than anything else. Until then, have a good one.